for ha Ghanatube so modo for snow me mama kwa ba e de ba channel we so matna say die na me de nsem ahodwo a ekoso e wo omani mu ebo na so me nom enkwan no enja fofo no nti dimechi na enkoti nsem bia ekoso
from Ghana who are in other countries studying, and the Foreign Affairs Ministry says it has established a special department in diplomatic missions abroad to prioritize the needs of Ghanaian students there. Now, by this, student desks have been created in countries that the data shows has high numbers of Ghanaians studying. We take a look at this initiative and what the student associations in the diaspora make of it. Joining us via Zoom, as Suti has already introduced, Lord McMason is the president of Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars, and also Dr. Emmanuel John Ayete is president of Ghanaian Students Association Morocco. Gassam there. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Lord, let me start with you. This creation is something government thinks will help improve the relationship between you and your home country, to ensure that you have a place you can go to get information on anything concerning your studies and home as well. What does that come to you, or how does that come to you?
All right, thank you very much. I hope I can be heard.
Perfectly.
So, good morning to all listeners. This is, unfortunately, my president, Mr. Lord, is not on. This is the vice president, Dr. Julius Ja. So it's an honor to have, to be here with you this morning.
Okay.
Yes, so the Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars, that's the umbrella body for the Ghanaian students in the diaspora. The student desk or a student office at the embassies is one thing that we've been asking for over so many years now, and we think that this is a step in the right direction. And so we are very grateful to the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the minister himself for taking this bold initiative to bring the students. Let's look at it. For example, I am the former NUCS China president. At the time I was president, there were about 7,000 students in China, just students, which is way more than workers or any other group, the business community in China. So when you have a body that is responsible for students of this number, then we are taking steps in the right direction. The same could be said before the disturbances in Ukraine and Russia. We have a huge number of students, about 2,000 in both countries. So yeah, it's a step in the right direction. And as a Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars, we are so happy to get this news.
Right. You mentioned the war in Ukraine, and we also saw how Ghanaian students got stranded there, which makes me wonder, is this a proactive approach to solve the problem, or a reactive one to solve past problems that we've already had?
Well, it's a difficult situation. I mean, since it's a new government, we would want to look at it in the positive way to say it's proactive. However, the roadmap to how these student desks work will be very important. As we said, the issue in Ukraine, we've had the case of Sudan, and 5 years ago, we had COVID outbreak in China. We saw how our students struggle in all these three situations. What we are looking out for is that, as my colleague, the president in Morocco, is online, we have presidents in all these countries. We are expecting that the student desks will be able to liaise with these students, so that, for instance, what happened in Sudan 2 years ago, if we have a similar situation, the students understand the country better than the embassy officials. You cannot deny that. I have been in China and understand how the system in China works probably better than a lot of the embassy people. So when they liaise with the students, then we'll be able to avoid situations where we get delayed evacuation, as we saw in Sudan and then Ukraine.
Okay.
And what would success look like? You said you'd been calling for this for a really long time now. What metrics would you use to judge the effectiveness of these students' desks?
Yes, so the students in diaspora faces a lot of challenges. Major ones are health, issues of their visa. Some have legal challenges here and there. Stipends. There are some students who are on scholarship who probably 9 months haven't received stipends, 4 years, medical students haven't received book allowances. So we must see results. It's not just creating the desk, but the desk coming in to create results. Students don't have accommodation because they have to use these stipends to pay for their rents. So the students in the diaspora is going through a lot. And I want to say we are not just looking at scholarship students, but Ghanaian students all around. it's estimated that our membership across some countries are over 30,000. That tells you the number, and that's just some countries, not all, because we do not have coverage for all the countries. So we want to see results being achieved. We want to see the stipends of students paid. We want to see a policy for health for the students in diaspora. I'll give you an example. In China, you have an insurance, but when a student gets sick or involved in an accident, and for instance, the student has to pay a $5,000 treatment plan, you have to make that payment, and after treatment, the insurance pays. So somebody gets sick, probably an accident, a fracture playing football, and he has to pay $5,000. And you can, the surgery must be performed in 24 hours. That is basically impossible for a student to raise at that time. So the embassies, the student desks must come up with a way where the challenges that we have faced are achieved. That is the only way we can say it's successful. We want to see our health care improve. We want to see our stipends, our tuition fees, and so many other challenges that we face addressed.
Have you been educated on the workings of these desks?
Yeah, so we are still in touch with the foreign ministry. Of course, we understand that the minister is settling in, and we always get right to them and get correspondence from them. So we have already reached out to them, and hopefully we'll be discussing how this student desk operates.
I'm asking because of what you said, that a student can get injured and you know, a surgery would have to be performed, $5,000 and all of that. And once you said it's something you've been calling for, I was thinking you were part of the process to then develop this, such that whether or not the desk will be able to sponsor or pay $5,000 for a student to undergo surgery is one of the things the desk will be looking at, and that's why I was asking whether or not you are aware.
Yes, we have had recommendations to the former government and former ministers. We do not know how well. We know that the ministry is always running. The directors and co are always running. So we've had proposals to them on how to handle this issue. Truth is, we do not know how much of it is integrated into the current proposal from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I guess over the next few weeks, the picture will be clearer to us all.
Okay, let's take it to Morocco, because Morocco is one area where, you know, in time past, recent time past, they used to have some peculiar challenges, you know. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us here. How does this news come to you, students in Morocco especially?
All right, thank you so much. For Morocco, I think as Dr. Julius said, the students are happy about it, because you would bear witness, as you said previously, we had about a year without being paid. And so what I want to say is, sometimes, you know, the government, you know, overlook the diaspora students, which is very, very sad, especially when the status of the scholarship was to benefit needy students, you know, brilliant but needy students. And so if we have the ideology that the students can be helped by the parents, you know, at least, you know, if you have like a year, how would the student be able to pay rent? How would the students be able to, you know, as Dr. Julius said, we have a student currently struggling with a medical condition, and we, the students, have to contribute, you know, in order to help her cater for this chronic disease. I think it's kidney chronic disease. I wouldn't be able to give details, but then we have not been paid for over 10 to 11 months. So how do the students come up with money to save such a student in that situation? And so I believe that if we have these desks being, you know, set up in these vantage places, it's going to really, really help to discuss personal matters, because as Dr. Julius says, some of the embassy officials might not really understand perfectly what the students are going through. And so if we have a desk being created, I don't know if the desk is going to be a part of a form from the consular office, or is going to be a separate desk being initiated. But I believe it is a separate desk being initiated is going to really help a lot, as we would be able to communicate personal issues, you know, on the ground. Example, in recent times, we had some earthquakes that is happening in Morocco, And I believe that if we have a student desk being created over there, there will be constant checkup, or if a student undergo any disaster, there would be that kind of relief from that desk. So
Emmanuel, I want to understand what you're saying, so please indulge me here. You just spoke about some emergencies. In fact, in 2023, we had reports about how there were delays in processing documentation during emergencies. I think the earthquake was one of those emergencies. How did you handle that situation? And to the best of your knowledge, how will this desk sort or resolve these administrative bottlenecks?
All right, thank you so much. We do not pray for a disaster to happen, but we see these disasters happening, and fortunately for Ghanaian students, we have not been affected yet. And so most of the times what I see is we wait for situations to happen, then we find solutions. But if there is this desk being created, the person is absolutely directed to students, and so when a student is being affected, there is immediate resolution. An example is when a student, we have a scholarship that promises just about $320 for health in general, but as Dr. Julius said, you realize that these insurances, you would have to cater for yourself first before the refund will be made. Some of them is 80% refund or 90% refund, but then at the end of the day, you would have to resolve it first at your side. And so let's say in a time where you have not been paid for 10 months stipends, how would you resolve if these disasters, let's say there's earthquake, and then let's say you are being affected, your house is being affected, if there is no this kind of decks being created so that the diplomat personnel can relate directly with this decks, how will the student be able to resolve these issues immediately? Because for now, what goes on at the embassy is, if a student undergo any calamity, there would have to be a letter. If the student is about to die, there would have to be a letter that will be sent to the embassy from the student leadership. Then now from the embassy to the scholarship secretariat, then we wait for answer before it is a whole lot of a long process. If the student have to die, the student will die. And so it is better we have people that are able to deal directly with the students so that things can move smoothly at the side of it.
You able to hear from now as some dim which ye cotie and sem no e buy comment box no e train for comment e bra na menjibre and kinkan e ma won. Answer na message mo so make am say aha e Ghanatube. So subscribe, hit on the notification bell for more updates. Makram.